Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We are on location to begin the show this week. We're from the Fishing Club in Belmar, New Jersey. The Jersey Shore was hit hard by the blizzard of 2016, but didn't sustain a lot of damage because of pre-planning. Like, you look right out the window here at the Fishing Club, and there are dunes that have been put up that held up, saved property, and stopped flooding. Actually, up and down the Jersey shoreline, the communities did pretty well, with the one exception of North Wild. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's talk more about Belmar right now. We are joined by the mayor of Belmar, Matt Doherty. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you.
You did a nice job with the storm. Tell me about the pre-planning and exactly what you did to protect homes and property here.
Well, we were very aggressive in our preparation for this storm. And as strange as it sounds, because of everything that happened during Sandy, we have a lot of lessons learned and also more resources now than ever before. So if it wasn't for Sandy, we would not have been as prepared for this storm as we could have been. Let me give you an example. So since Sandy, we received beach replenishment from the Army Corps of Engineers back in 2013. The volume of sand we received allowed us to build up dunes, sand dunes, anywhere from 8 to 12 feet tall for 1.3 miles all along the entire beachfront. So we were able to hold back the ocean. We had one breach right around 12th Avenue, but no water that made it onto Ocean Avenue or into any neighborhoods. So, you know, putting the lessons learned together with the resources, you know, and being aggressive, our preparation really did pay off.
Now, I've heard the same story up and down the coastline, people saying it's because of Sandy that we learned lessons. It's because of federal money and resources that came to us. Did you all coordinate? Did you talk about what you were going to do?
Among the towns, you know, there's a lot of small towns, right?
Yeah.
So us small town mayors, yeah. I mean, the night of the storm, you know, I was in contact with Dina Long, mayor in Seabright, and Paul Smith, mayor in Union Beach. And we do coordinate and figure out, you know, what's going on, what works, what was been tried and didn't work. So yeah, no, there's a lot of communication that goes on among the small shore town mayors. What
was it like here, both during the storm and then right after the storm?
For the most recent one.
Right, exactly.
You know, our preparation was great. We focused on that for the days leading up to it. We also do reverse 911 calls to our residents, and I try to plan them out just about the same time every day, right around 6 o'clock. And we give them an update as to what we're doing, and also ideas for their own preparation. One of the things we've learned since Sandy is a lot of the families that went through that had a really tragic time with it, and they almost have some type of post-traumatic stress. So when they hear about, you know, on TV they see it, or on the radio, or they read about a big storm coming, there's a heightened level of anxiety in town, no doubt, and it's palpable. So one of the things I think is important for me as a community leader, as the mayor, is to try to assuage those concerns by communicating what we're doing. Tell them about the big dunes we're putting up that are going to keep the ocean at bay. Talk about lowering the lakes in anticipation of any storms coming, and it also giving them ideas of what they should do with their own house. So that's what we sort of did beforehand. And then during the storm, again, we just communicated, particularly with power outages. Jersey Central Power and Light is our provider. They were absolutely horrendous, terrible during Sandy. Literally could not have been any worse. And they've done a tremendous job in improvements over the last couple of years.
Oh, great. So, but you had power outages.
We had power outages. Well, I'll tell you, we had one power outage in the morning. It was storm related, you know, heavy lines going down, 30% of the time was out. And then later, and then it came back on. And then later that morning, a sailboat, it's no joke, a sailboat got loose from its moorings, and it drifted over, and its mast got caught in electrical cables, knocking out power for about 10% of the town. So you could try to plan, right, for all these occurrences, and then something like that happens.
Well, and to that point, you try to plan, you think you're ready, you really don't know what's going to hit. And you really don't know, even though you've been told that this plan's going to work and these dunes are going to work, you're not really sure. I mean, if it hits hard enough, you're going to have problems. Tell me the truth. During the storm, were you kind of having did your fingers crossed, or did you really believe that this was going to work?
Our fingers are crossed every time. You could make the argument that we over-prepared, but we'd much rather be in that position than the opposite. The one place we did have flooding, which always gets us nervous, is further inland. So Belmar is surrounded by water on 3 sides: the Atlantic Ocean, the Shark River inlet, and then the Shark River itself. So when the tide comes in, it goes into Shark River, and that water level rises. So we had flooding on Highway 35, 4-lane highway that we had to close down for a lot of Saturday of the storm. But no flooding in the homes or anything like that. So overall, we managed it well, we prepared well, and I'm happy with the performance.
You said you learned a lot from Sandy for this storm. Did you learn a lot from this storm for the next one?
Yeah, I mean, I think our communication, is something that's very important, particularly when you have multiple things going on. So we had high winds, because we're right along the coast. We had flooding, and then we had 18 inches of snow. So, you're trying to communicate, to tell people to get their cars off the streets, right, so that we can plow curb to curb, so you can get out and get to work the next work day. Then we're telling people you got to take everything in from your house, and we're telling people, our plows are out, what they're doing, plus we're building dunes. So, communicating, you could almost, I wouldn't put a value on it. It's invaluable. And you could make the argument we over-communicated, and we would do that again. It worked very. And
you were satisfied. So
very satisfied.
No mistakes, nothing that you take from this and say, oh, we got to do this better next time?
The only thing I think that needs to happen, and it's larger than just us, is we really do need to have the state of New Jersey raise Route 35 a little bit, because it acts as a barrier to the water coming in. So if they elevated that 3 feet, not a whole lot, 3 feet, it would make a world of difference in the community, the neighborhood that's right by the shore.
And that would be a state project?
State project, right.
Speaking of the state, how'd the governor do?
We were in contact with his office, with the staffers we work with, and they performed really well.
So you weren't disappointed that he first said he wasn't going to come here, but just he was here and that's all you care about, and then while he was here, you were fine, you were satisfied with him? Yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, my main focus from start to finish was just Belmar and how we were doing. And if we needed any resources, then we would have called the state. But we didn't really have to interact much with them aside from some plowing issues on Route 35. When it came to the storm, we were able to prepare enough by ourselves.
And I'm going to do one last question about the governor. And I'm going to tell you ahead of time that you can pass on the question if you want to. North Wildwood and the way he handled that, and the little back and forth he got with a good friend of his, and called him crazy and said, what does he want me to do, go down there with a mop, after he went back to New Hampshire right away. As you said, you're a small-town mayor. He's a small-town mayor. What did you think of that whole back and forth?
I think you got to question if that's the right thing for the residents in North Wildwood. I always believe in putting people ahead of politics, and it works really, really well when you do it the right way. Just like I mentioned. Did
he not handle it the right way? I'm talking about the mayor. Should he have not done that publicly?
The mayor of North Wildwood?
Yeah.
I would never question what another mayor does, because one thing I've learned in this position is no one knows their community as well as the mayor. No one knows what's going on minute to minute in a natural disaster as a mayor does. So I'm sure he did the absolute best job he could, and I think the residents in his town should be very happy with his performance.
Okay, I'll get off the politics and the attempt at gotcha questions. We'll talk about the beach for a second. These dunes aren't staying up, right?
No, these are not very attractive things. Sand dunes are not attractive. What's attractive is nice, open beaches with tens of thousands of middle-class families that come from throughout New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, to the Jersey Shore. We're the most popular beach in Monmouth County by far. So no, come Memorial Day weekend, you can come to Belmar. No sand dunes, nice wide open beaches, and lots of happy people.
Well, if you can take down your sand dunes, there's all these communities that are upset about sand dunes. Can't they just take theirs down too?
That I don't know. I could just address exactly what we do and why we do it. But again, what other small towns at the Jersey Shore do is really up to their leadership.
I got the theme of the interview. I'm talking about Belmar. We're not talking about anything else but Belmar. Mayor, thanks for spending the time. I really do appreciate it. And congratulations. You did a great job during this. Mayor Matt Doherty, the mayor of Belmar, New Jersey. Jersey Matters continues back in the studio right after this.